The rain-slick streets of San Francisco gleamed under the sodium lamps as Hope Whitaker clutched the faded letter in her fist. Its edges worn from years of secret readings, the words blurring not from the downpour but from the tears she refused to let fall. In that moment, as thunder cracked over the bay like a judgment long overdue, she realized the empire her mother had built, the sprawling Whitaker vineyards in Napa Valley, a testament to old money and unyielding grace, was nothing but a beautifully tended lie. And the woman sleeping beside her in their fog-shrouded Victorian row house, the one who had vowed to stand by her through every vintage and vine, was the blade about to sever it all. Hope had always known love like a vintage wine, complex, layered, best savored in the quiet hours after the harvest moon dipped below the hills. Elena Vasquez, with her dark curls that caught the golden light like threads of midnight silk and eyes the color of aged Merlot, had been her sun-dappled escape from the weight of legacy. They had met 5 years ago at a gallery opening in the Mission District, where Elena, an investigative journalist with a nose for buried stories sharper than any sommelier's palate, had cornered Hope amid the swirl of Chardonnay and whispered questions about the Whitaker name. What started as a flirtation over stolen sips of Pinot had bloomed into something fiercer, a marriage sealed in a candlelit ceremony overlooking the Golden Gate. Vows exchanged like secrets in the salt-tinged air. But legacies, Hope learned early, were not vines you could prune back to health. They twisted through soil enriched with unspoken truths, roots delving into shadows no amount of sunlight could pierce. Her mother, Lydia Whitaker, had been the unchallenged queen of Napa's wine world, a widow at 38, who turned heartbreak into empire after Hope's father vanished in a yachting accident off the coast of Monterey. Lydia's Chardonnays won awards from New York to Paris. Her Cabernets graced the tables of presidents and poets alike. She had raised Hope in the shadow of those rolling hills, teaching her to read the land like a lover's skin, the way the fog clung to the valleys in the mornings, the subtle blush of ripening grapes under September skies. "This is our blood, darling," Lydia would say, her voice smooth as barrel-aged reserve, pressing a dirt-streaked hand to Hope's cheek. "Protect it." Always. Hope had. Got. How she had. After Lydia's death from pancreatic cancer 3 years prior, Hope stepped into the role of steward with a devotion that bordered on obsession. She expanded the vineyards into sustainable practices, hired local talent from the immigrant communities that had long fueled Napa's labor, even launched a scholarship fund in Lydia's name for young women in viticulture. The Whitaker name shone brighter than ever, a beacon of resilience in an industry battered by climate shifts and corporate buyouts. Elena had been her anchor through it all, the late nights poring over soil reports, the board meetings where old money investors eyed Hope like a fragile vintage. Elena's touch, warm and unyielding, had pulled her from the brink more times than she could count. Yet cracks had formed, subtle as fissures in parched earth. Elena's questions grew sharper over the past year, her journalist's instincts flaring at odd moments. A misplaced ledger in the estate office. A faded photograph tucked in Lydia's vanity drawer, showing a woman who looked too much like Elena's own abuela, arms linked with a younger Lydia in a sun-drenched plaza that screamed Mexico City, not Monterey. "Just curiosity," Elena would murmur, brushing it off with a kiss that tasted of evasion. But Hope saw the hunger in her eyes, the same relentless drive that had uncovered scandals in Silicon Valley startups and political cover-ups in Sacramento. She trusted Elena with her body, her heart, her empire's fragile underbelly. But trust, Hope was beginning to fear, was a vintage that soured without warning. It was on a crisp October evening, The kind where the air carried the first whisper of rain, and the city lights fractured like shattered crystal across the bay. That the fracture widened into a chasm. They were in their kitchen. A sunlit area on the top floor of their No Valley home, surrounded by potted herbs and the faint hum of the foghorn. Hope was uncorking a bottle of their 18 Reserve Cabernet, the label embossed with Lydia's elegant script, when Elena slid a manila envelope across the reclaimed wood island. No preamble. No softening gaze, just the envelope, thick and innocuous, like a summons from fate. "Open it," Elena said, her voice steady but laced with something raw, like the scrape of thorns on tender skin. Hope's fingers trembled as she broke the seal, spilling documents across the counter, yellowed birth certificates, bank transfers routed through offshore accounts, emails dated back to the late 90s. Her breath caught as she scanned the top sheet, a deposition transcript. Lydia's name bolded in legalese, confessing to embezzlement from the family trust. Not just any trust, the one seated by Hope's grandfather. The original Whitaker fortune built on Prohibition-era bootlegging, laundered through post-war real estate flips. But it went deeper, twisting like roots into forbidden soil. The final page, a DNA report, linking Lydia to a daughter born in 1982, given up for adoption in Guadalajara. A sister. A secret child. Hidden not by shame alone, but by the cold calculus of legacy. Lydia had paid off the adoption agency, silenced the birth mother with hush money funneled through the vineyard's philanthropy arm. The room tilted, the wine forgotten as it breathed on the counter. Hope's knees buckled, and she gripped the edge, knuckles whitening like frost on glass. How long have you known? Elena's eyes, those deep pools of Merlot, shimmered with unshed tears. 6 months. I started digging after that photo in the attic. Thought it was nothing, a youthful fling. Maybe. But it unraveled everything. Your mother didn't just protect the legacy. Hope. She built it on lies. On stolen lives. The words landed like hail on tender shoots, each one bruising deeper than the last. Hope had spent years as Lydia's shield, fending off lawsuits from disgruntled workers, negotiating with conglomerates eyeing the land for strip malls. She had buried her own dreams, a novel half-written in stolen afternoons, dreams of traveling light without the weight of acres, to preserve what she believed was pure, untainted inheritance. And now, Elena, her wife, her confidant, had wielded the truth like a harvester's blade, severing it all. Why? Hope whispered, the question a sob caught in her throat. Why now? After everything? Elena stepped closer, her hand hovering as if afraid to touch. Because I love you too much to let you drown in it. This isn't protection, mi amor. It's a cage. And if we don't break it open, it'll consume you like it did her. The rain began then, pattering against the floor-to-ceiling windows like impatient fingers. Hope turned away, staring out at the blurred cityscape, the distant glow of the bridge a lifeline in the storm. She wanted to rage, to shatter the bottle and watch the wine bleed across the tiles like accusations. But beneath the fury simmered something older, a grief she'd carried since Lydia's bedside vigil, where her mother's final words had been, "Keep it safe, my girl. For us. For us. Not for me. Not for her." That night, they slept apart for the first time since their honeymoon in Big Sur. The king-sized bed a vast, empty sea between them. Hope lay awake, the envelope's contents replaying like a fever dream. The sister's name, Isabella Ruiz, now a professor in Portland, oblivious to the blood tie that bound her to Napa's throne. The embezzled funds, siphoned to fund the adoption cover-up, had propped up the vineyards during lean years, turning potential bankruptcy into a claim. Lydia hadn't just hidden a child. She'd rewritten history, erasing Isabella's existence to safeguard the Whittaker myth. By dawn, the fog had rolled in thick, muffling the world outside. Hope rose before Elena, slipping into the kitchen to brew coffee strong enough to cut through the haze in her mind. The documents stared up from the counter, a map to uncharted ruins. She traced her mother's signature on a transfer form, elegant loops that once meant security, now reeked of desperation. What had Lydia felt? Signing away her own flesh to preserve the vines? Fear? Love? Or the ruthless ambition that had made her a legend? Elena appeared in the doorway, wrapped in Hope's old Stanford sweatshirt, her curls tousled from restless sleep. No words at first, just the pour of coffee, the steam rising like unspoken apologies. Then, softly, "I didn't want to hurt you." But hiding it, that's what she did. And look where it led. Hope nodded, the gesture small but seismic. "I know. But this changes everything. The board meeting next week, they're voting on expansion. If this leaks, it won't." "Not yet." Elena's hand found hers across the island, warm and steady. "We face it together. Find Isabella. Make it right." The idea lodged in Hope's chest like a seed in fertile soil, terrifying, full of potential. To unearth the buried, to invite the stranger who shared her blood into the light. It felt like betrayal to Lydia's ghost, yet liberation too. A chance to replant what had been poisoned. They spent the day in tentative alliance, combing through more files Elena had amassed, news clippings from the 80s about a scandalous affair between Lydia and a Mexican winemaker, photos of a young Isabella at university, her face a haunting echo of Lydia's high forehead, full lips curved in thoughtful smiles. Hope's heart ached with a phantom limb's pain, grieving the sister she'd never known, the family fractured before birth. As evening fell, they drove north on Highway 101, the city fading into the emerald folds of Marin County. The vineyards called like old lovers, demanding reckoning. At a roadside pullout overlooking the valley, Hope pulled over, the engine ticking in the cooling air. Elena leaned against the hood, silhouetted against the sunset's bruise-purple sky. "Tell me what you're feeling," Elena urged, her voice a gentle prod. "Like I've been pruning shadows," Hope admitted, tears finally spilling free. "All these years, tending a garden I didn't plant. But you saw the weeds. And you pulled them anyway." Elena drew her close, their foreheads touching, breaths mingling like mist. "I pulled for us. Because love isn't legacy. It's real. Roots and all." They kissed then, slow and deep, tasting salt and earth. Not a resolution, but a beginning. The road ahead wound through secrets yet to bloom. But for the first time, Hope felt the weight lift, vines reaching not to strangle, but to embrace. The drive back to the city was a quiet unraveling. The highways hum a counterpoint to the storm brewing in Hope's mind. Elena's hand rested on her thigh, a grounding warmth against the leather seat. But Hope's thoughts raced ahead to the estate, the sprawling Whittaker manor, its white columns guardians of ghosts. She pictured the library where Lydia had hosted tastings for celebrities, the cellar vaults echoing with laughter long faded. How many toasts had been raised to illusions? Arriving home as twilight bled into night, they bypassed the kitchen for the study. A room unchanged since Lydia's era. Mahogany shelves groaning under leather-bound vintner's logs. A Persian rug soft underfoot. Hope lit the fireplace, flames dancing like accusations across the walls. Elena spread the documents on the desk, her movements precise. A surgeon dissecting the corpse of trust. "Start here," Elena said, tapping a folder labeled Trust Amendments. 1983. Inside, Lydia's notarized will. Clauses buried like landmines. Redirecting funds to anonymous charities, cover for the payoffs. She funneled over $2 million through Napa Valley Vintners grants. Kept the books clean while Isabella's mother lived in silence. Hope's stomach twisted. Isabella's mother, Maria Ruiz, a sommelier Lydia had met during a buying trip to Michoacán. The affair had been brief, passionate, a collision of worlds, Lydia's polished East Coast inheritance clashing with Maria's earthy, revolutionary spirit. When pregnancy surfaced, Lydia's panic was pragmatic. Return to California. Erase the trace. Maria, heartbroken but proud, accepted the terms. Money for a new life in the States. Adoption papers signed in a sterile Mexico City clinic. "I always wondered why she never remarried," Hope murmured, flipping through faded letters from Maria. Postmarked Portland. "Please for contact." Rebuffed with legal boilerplate. Thought it was father's memory. But it was this. Elena nodded. Her own heritage stirring empathy. Her parents had fled El Salvador's civil war, building a taqueria empire in the Castro with grit and guarded secrets. Lydia chose the vines over blood. But blood doesn't forget. The fire crackled, casting shadows that lengthened like regrets. Hope rose, pacing to the window overlooking the garden, where roses Lydia had imported from France climbed the trellis in defiant bloom. She pressed her palm to the cool glass, imagining Isabella out there in the rain-soaked Pacific Northwest, lecturing on post-colonial literature, unaware her lineage traced back to Napa's soil. "We can't just show up," Hope said finally, turning. "What if she hates us? Hates what we represent?" Elena crossed to her, arms encircling from behind, chin on Hope's shoulder. "Then we listen. That's the start of healing, not hiding." They made love that night in the study, urgent and unscripted, bodies mapping the terrain of hurt and hunger. Elena's skin, olive warm under Hope's fingertips, tasted of salt and solace. Hope's sighs were confessions whispered against the curve of Elena's neck. It was not gentle lovemaking, but a reclamation, fingers tracing scars both seen and unseen, lips bruising with the need to affirm what documents could not touch. Afterward, tangled in the rug's fringes, Elena traced lazy circles on Hope's hip. "Tomorrow, we call her." Sleep came fitful. Dreams of vineyards on fire, grapes bursting with inky secrets. Dawn brought resolve. A simple email drafted on Elena's laptop. From Hope's account. "Dear Isabella Ruiz, my name is Hope Whitaker. This may sound impossible, but I believe we share a mother. I'd like to talk. If you're open." Attached the DNA report. A photo of Lydia in her prime, smiling with that enigmatic grace. The reply came by noon. As they hiked Twin Peaks, the city's patchwork quilt sprawling below. Isabella's words were measured, cautious. I've known about the adoption since I was 18. Never pursued it, too much pain in looking back. But if you're reaching out. Coffee in Portland next weekend. Hope's heart soared and sank in equal measure. The trail's incline mirroring her pulse. Elena squeezed her hand, grinning through the mist. See? Routes find their way. The week blurred into preparations. Board agendas revised to delay expansion. A discreet call to the family lawyer, an old fox named Harlan Graves, who confessed he'd suspected the discrepancies but buried them for Lydia's sake. Loyalty's a vine. Miss Hope, he rasped over the line. It chokes if not pruned. His willingness to amend the trusts eased some guilt, but not the gnawing doubt. Was she dismantling or redeeming? Portland greeted them with drizzle and hipster charm. Craft breweries tucked into brick warehouses. The Willamette River a silver thread through evergreens. Isabella waited at a cafe in the Pearl District. A woman in her early 40s with Lydia's bone structure softened by time, dark hair streaked silver. Eyes a stormy gray that pinned Hope like a specimen slide. She rose as they approached. Handshake firm. Voice carrying a faint lilt from her mother's tongue. You look like her, Isabella said. No warmth but no ice either. The photos don't lie. Over flat whites and scones. The floodgates cracked. Isabella spoke of a childhood in foster homes after Maria's death from lupus, piecing together her origins from fragmented letters. Mom Maria never spoke ill of her. Said Lydia was a woman caught in her own harvest. Poetic, right? She worked doubles at wineries up here, tasting notes for tourists, all while raising me alone. Hope's throat tightened. Visions of Maria's hands, calloused from crates, stained with juice mirroring her own. She built it all on your silence. Our silence. Elena, ever the bridge, shared her own family's exodus tales, drawing parallels that softened Isabella's edges. By the second hour, laughter flickered, stories of Lydia's infamous temper. The time she fired a sommelier for mispronouncing terroir. She sounds like a force, Isabella admitted, tracing her mug's rim. But forces leave wreckage. They parted with promises. A visit to Napa. DNA confirmed. Trusts to explore. Driving south, Hope felt unmoored. The I-5 a ribbon through forests that whispered of rebirth. Thank you, she told Elena at a rest stop, kissing her fiercely amid truckers' stares. For forcing the vintage. But home brought backlash. Harlan called midweek. Voice grave. Leaked memos. Hope. Someone on the board stirring old rival. Perhaps. They're questioning the funds. The betrayal stung fresh. A thorn in the heel. Elena dove back into her network, tracing digital footprints to a junior exec with ties to a rival label. Corporate espionage, she muttered. Laptop glowing in the dim. Hope watched her. Admiration laced with unease. This was Elena's world. Probes and exposes. Where truth was a weapon. Nights grew tense. Arguments flaring like dry lightning. You're turning my life into your next byline, Hope accused one evening. Slamming a cabinet. Elena's retort cut deep. And you're clinging to a ghost who sold her soul for Sauvignon. The words hung. Poisonous. Hope stormed out, wandering the Castro's neon veins until bars closed. Neon signs blurring through tears. She ended up at their favorite dive. The Red Room. Nursing a neat scotch amid drag queens and tech bros. A text from Elena. Come home. Please. Forgiveness came at 3 a.m. Bodies colliding in the hallway. Apologies gasped between thrusts. I need you, Hope breathed. Elena's nails raking her back. All of you, the digger. The lover. In the afterglow. Plans solidified. Confront the board. Reveal the truth on their terms. Invite Isabella to the next harvest gala. A public olive branch. But as October deepened, vines heavy with fruit, package arrived anonymous, postmarked Sacramento. Inside, more documents, but twisted, fabricated ledgers painting Lydia as a full-fledged fraud, Isabella as a gold digger schemer. The note, protect the legacy, or watch it burn. Fear coiled in Hope's gut. Who? The rival? Or someone closer? Harlan's loyalty fraying? The anonymous package sat on the kitchen island like a venomous spider, its contents spilling tendrils of deceit across the wood. Hope stared at the forged pages, her reflection warped in the stainless steel toaster, eyes hollowed, mouth a tight line. Elena paced, phone to ear, barking questions at a contact in the DA's cyber unit. Trace the IP. Yes now. But Hope's mind wandered to the vines, where crisis always clarified. She grabbed keys, coat flapping like wings. I'm going to the estate. Need air. Elena paused, concern etching her brow. Wait, I'll drive. No. The word sharper than intended. Alone. The 2-hour drive north was a meditation in motion. Highway 29 curving through golden hills dotted with harvesters, the air thick with fermenting sweetness. Whitaker Manor loomed at journey's end, its ivy-clad facade a portrait of endurance. Hope parked by the guest house, slipping into the vineyard rows, boots sinking into loamy paths. The grapes hung plump, skins taut with promise, oblivious to the rot beneath. She walked until her legs burned, memories surfacing like bubbles in a carboy. Lydia at harvest, sleeves rolled, laughing as juice stained their hands crimson. This is alchemy. Hope turning sorrow to strength. Had it been strength? Or sleight of hand? A figure emerged from the arbor, Marcus Hale, the head vintner, a grizzled vet of 30 Napa seasons, his flannel shirt patched at elbows. Miss Hope. Saw your car. Trouble. She hesitated, then handed him a photocopy of the forged ledger. Marcus scanned it, face darkening like overripe berries. Smells like bullshit. But if it spreads. He trailed off, eyes on the horizon. Your ma wouldn't want this. The mention pierced. What did you know about her? Marcus. The Mexico years. He shifted. Dirt-caked boots scraping gravel. Enough. She came back changed, fiercer. Hungrier. Hired me fresh from UC Davis. Said we were building something eternal. Never pried deeper. Loyalty. You know. Hope nodded. The word a double-edged blade. Back at the manor. She pored over Lydia's journals in the attic. Dust motes dancing in slanted light. Entries from 82. The child is a complication. Maria weeps. But the land calls louder. Forgive me, little one. Human Lydia not as Titan. But woman. Torn. Phone buzzed Elena. Package senders a ghost burner email. VPN. But chatter on the board. They're calling an emergency session Friday. Expansion votes leverage. Hope's resolve hardened. Then we go nuclear. Full disclosure. Friday dawn foggy. The boardroom in the manor's great hall. A battlefield of polished oak and crystal decanters. 10 faces, investors from Chicago syndicates, enologists from Bordeaux exchanges, turned expectant as Hope entered. Elena at her flank like a sentinel. Harlan hovered. "I ask you." "Ladies and gentlemen," Hope began, voice steady as a first pour. "Before we vote, truths must surface." She laid it bare. The adoption, the funds, the cover-up. Gasps rippled. A silver-haired mogul from Pebble Beach slammed his fist. "Scandal. The brand. Will survive," Hope cut in. Eyes blazing. "Because we're not hiding." Isabella Ruiz joins us next month. As family. As partner in reform. Audits incoming. Reparations to Maria's estate. This isn't collapse. It's evolution. Murmurs swelled. But Elena's prepared packet, projections for sustainable growth. Isabella's credentials as cultural consultant, tip scales. Votes cast. Expansion approved. With clauses for transparency. As they filed out, Harlan clapped Hope's shoulder. "Your mod be proud." Messy. But real. Relief washed hot. But victory soured en route home. A voicemail from Isabella. "Heard about the meeting, brave. But that package, I got one too. Accusing me of forgery. This isn't just legacy. It's targeted." Paranoia bloomed. Who benefited from division? Hope's mind snagged on Marcus's evasion. Harlan's long shadow. Or deeper, Elena's digging. Had it unearthed an enemy? That night. Over takeout foe from their favorite spot in the Tenderloin. Tension simmered. "You think it's me?" Elena challenged. Chopsticks paused midair. "No, like, half-formed. But your job. It invites shadows." Elena's laugh was bitter. "And your legacy doesn't? We're in this. Hope. Trust that." Intimacy followed. Tentative. A bath drawn with eucalyptus. Elena's hand soaping Hope's back in slow circles. "Remember our first night?" Elena murmured. Lips at her ear. "You spilled wine on my dress. Blamed the cork. We laughed till dawn." Hope leaned into her. Water lapping. "I do." "You were fearless. As you are now." Their bodies aligned. Slick and seeking. Release a quiet thunder. But doubt lingered. A silt at the basin's bottom. Saturday brought Isabella south for a reconnaissance visit. They met at a bistro in Yountville. French Laundry's shadow lending gravitas. Isabella arrived in professor chic, linen blouse. Pearl earrings, her presence a bridge across Heiress. "The manner's stunning," she said. Sipping sparkling water. "Like stepping into a novel." Hope shared photos. Stories sanitized for now. Elena charmed with questions on Isabella's work, deconstructing colonial narratives in Latin American lit. Bonds formed tentative, like young shoots after frost. But as they toured the cellars, Isabella paused at a barrel-stamped 82, the year of her birth. "Symbolic," she said dryly. A vintage born of secrets. The levity masked undercurrents. Driving Isabella to the airport, Hope confessed the threats. "Stay vigilant. We're targets." Isabella's grip tightened on her bag. "Family already? Feels surreal. But if this is blood, it's thick." Alone again. Hope and Elena hosted a small dinner, friends from the Queer Wine Collective, a buffer against isolation. Laughter flowed with the 15 rows. Toasts to reinvention. But mid-meal. Elena's phone lit. Anonymous text. Tell your wife to stop digging. Or the sister pays. Hope's fork clattered. Elena paled, showing the screen. This is personal. The group dispersed early. Concern heavy. In bed. Hope clung to Elena. Heart hammering. Promise me. No more solo hunts. Promise. But dawn revealed Elena gone. Note following a lead. Back soon. Love. Panic surged. Hope called Marcus. Had Elena been by? Saw her chatting with a supplier yesterday. Odd pair. The supplier Victor Lang. A grizzled importer with rumored cartel ties. Who'd courted Lydia in the 90s. Hope raced north. Phone dying mid-dial to Isabella. She found them at a roadside bar off Silverado Trail. Low-slung and neon-lit despite daylight. Elena emerged flushed. Victor's shadow in the door. Got a name, she said. Sliding into the passenger seat. Harlan. He's been feeding info to the rival, covering his own skim from the trusts. Betrayal landed like frostkill. Harlan. The fox. Gnawing the henhouse. Confrontation brewed. Hope texted him my office. Now. He arrived rumpled. Denial crumbling under Elena's evidence. Bank pings. Emails. It was for the family, he whined. Lydia's debts from the cover-up, I paid them. Took cuts to stay afloat. You profited on her pain. Hope's voice steel. Resign. Or we press charges. He slunk out. Defeated. Victory. But hollow, another layer peeled. Exposing raw flesh. That evening. As vines sighed in twilight. Hope and Elena walked the rows. Hands linked. We're freer, Hope said. Elena smiled. Weary. One blight down. But freedom's taste was bittersweet. The harvest looming with unspoken yields. Harvest dawn broke with a vengeance. The sky a bruise over Napa. Workers streaming into the fields like ants to nectar. Hope stood on the veranda. Thermos of black coffee steaming. Watching crews clip clusters into gondolas. Ritual as ancient as grudge. Elena joined her. Tousled from lovemaking that had stretched till stars faded. Her body a map Hope knew by heart. Harlan's gone, Elena confirmed. Scrolling resignation email. Boards clean. Isabella arrives tonight. Relief mingled with ache. The old lawyer's exit severed a thread to Lydia. Leaving Hope adrift. Feels like shedding skin. Elena kissed her temple. New growth. The day blurred into frenzy. Presses humming. Juice foaming ruby rivers. The air heady with pulp and yeast. Hope moved among the teams. Sleeves soaked. Spanish banter flowing. Gracias for steady hands. Poor favor for the next crate. Elena documented. Camera capturing the poetry. Sweat glistened brows. Laughter amid toil. By dusk, Isabella pulled up in a rented Prius. Duffel slung over shoulder. The manor glowed welcoming. Lanterns strung like fireflies. Dinner was family style on the terrace. Grilled quail from the estate's farm. Heirloom tomatoes drizzled in vinaigrette. Bottles of '05 Cab decanted to breathe. Isabella fit oddly. Gracefully, chiming in on terroir's politics. How colonial vines displaced native grapes. Your mother's legacy? Its empire in a glass. Hope winced. But nodded. Ours to rewild. Postmeal. They wandered the grounds. Isabella's flashlight beam dancing on leaves. Maria loved stories, she shared. Told me of a woman who danced in moonlight, promising forever. Guess that was Lydia. Elena's arm around Hope tightened. Stories evolve. Night deepened. Isabella bunked in the guest house. Hope and Elena retreated to the master suite. Bay windows framing star-pricked sky. Undressing by candlelight, they explored anew, Elena's tongue tracing collarbone, Hope's gasps echoing off beams. "You're my vintage," Elena whispered, fingers delving deep. Climax shattered softly, bodies arching in unison. Morning brought the gala prep. But first, a package at the gate. No return. Inside, a locket Lydia's, engraved for my girls with a note, "Truth kills slower than lies. End it." Chills spidered Hope's spine. Victor Lang? Or Harlan's spite? They drove to his old office in St. Helena. A dusty den above a bookstore. Elena picked the lock skills from her reporter days, finding files, Victor's contracts, payoffs to silence Maria's kin. "He's the ghost," Elena said. Lydia's old flame. Jilted. Now poisoning the well. Confrontation at Victor's warehouse. Crates stacked like accusations. He smirked. Cigar smoke curling. "Lydia owed me." "That child? My blood too." Shock-rooted Hope. "You knew. More than knew." "I funded the hush." Harlan handled the books. I the muscle. His eyes raked Elena. "Your wife's meddling stirred the hive. Threat veiled. But clear." Back home. Police report filed. But Victor vanished. Rumors of Baja hideouts. Isabella, overhearing, paled. My father? Dios. The revelation bonded them fiercer. Over tea in the sunroom. Stories poured, Victor's temper. Maria's escape. He wasn't all monster, Isabella said. Sent anonymous checks for my tuition. Twisted love. Hope reached across. Hand on hers. We're rewriting the narrative. Gala night arrived. Black tie swirl under tinted lights. Influencers and Psalms toasting Whitaker's rebirth. Hope in emerald silk. Elena in tailored tux stunning. Synergistic. Isabella debuted as consultant. Speech on equitable viticulture drawing applause. Midway. A crash server down. Red pooling like blood. Then whispers. Leaked article online. Whitaker heiress's illicit roots. Scandal in the soil. Panic surged. Elena's face ashen. Not me. Swear. Doubt flickered. But hope quashed it. We face it. Podium seized. Hope addressed the crowd. Voice amplified. Tonight, we honor truths unearthed. My family, Lydia, Maria, Isabella, built this on courage and compromise. Join us in transparency. Silence. Then cheers. Victor's ploy backfired. Shares ticked up pre-market. Aftermath media frenzy. But supportive. Forbes profile on ethical reinvention. Privately. Strain showed. Elena's late nights. Secret of calls. Sourcing Victor, she'd say. One night. Hope woke to empty bed. Elena's laptop open, emails to a PI. Subject Lang location. You promised, Hope hissed when she returned. Couldn't wait. He's in Ensenada. Threatens Isabella. Argument exploded, words like shrapnel. Your hero complex endangers us. Your denial buries us, Elena shouted, tears streaking. Door slammed. Elena stormed to the guest house. Hope sobbed alone. Legacy's weight-crushing. Dawn reconciliation. Isabella mediating. Coffee in hand. Fights forge or fracture. Choose. They chose forge. Apologies over breakfast. Plans to lure Victor out. Trip south. Fly to San Diego. Drive border crossing roads. Tension thick as humidity. But shared glances reignited spark. Motel stop. Cheap neon. Thin walls. Desperation fueled passion. Hope pinning Elena to the mattress. Hips grinding urgent. Don't leave me, she gasped. Never, Elena vowed. Nails scoring shoulders. Ensenada's cantinas yielded leads. Victor at a cliffside villa. Stakeout tents. Hearts pounding. Confrontation at dusk. Hope and Elena at the gate. Isabella on video call. He appeared. Gun holstered but eyes loaded. Come to gloat. To end it, Hope said. Reparations. Your share of the trust for peace. He laughed. Hollow. Peace? Lydia took my daughter. Isabella's voice crackled. I'm here. Talk to me. Reluctance cracked. Hours passed. Stories traded. Victor wept for lost years. Dawn deals signed papers. Exile agreed. Return north buoyant. Wounds cauterized. But home's shadow loomed. Elena's article. Pitched pre-confront. The vintage betrayal. You published. Hope's voice broke. Redacted. For justice. Hurt festered. My pain. Your Pulitzer bait. Space needed. Elena to a conference in LA. Hope to the vines. Solitude healed slow. Journals filled with doubts. Dreams of flight. Isabella stayed. Sisterly talks under stars. Love's a gamble. Like wine. Some years off. Elena's return. Airport reunion. Tentative hug. I quit the piece. For us. Forgiveness bloomed. Tentative. Nights mended. Slow dances in kitchen. Elena's songs in Spanish. Hope's poems scrawled on napkins. Harvest wrapped. Yields record. But autumn's chill whispered change. November's chill settled over Napa like a shroud. Leaves curling gold and crimson. The vineyard's bones bared. Hope walked the bare trellises daily. Pruners in pocket. Snipping stragglers, a metaphor for her life. Trimming excesses to foster spring. Elena's presence was a steady pulse now. Their rhythm resynced through deliberate quiet. Morning yoga on the terrace. Shared runs along the Napa River. Evenings with vinyl spinning Joni Mitchell. Voices harmonizing soft. Isabella extended her stay. Commuting to Portland lectures. Her room a semi-permanent nest of books and botanicals. Sisterhood solidified in small rites. Cooking tamales from Maria's recipe. Deciphering Lydia's coded diaries. One entry gutted them. If I could trade the acres for her laugh, I would. But empires demand sacrifice. Regret, Isabella murmured. Tracing faded ink. She felt it. Hope nodded. Throat tight. Makes the protecting. Pointless. Not pointless. Poetic justice. We're the harvest she couldn't reap. Victor's exile held. Monthly checks wired. Silence bought. Harlan's void filled by a sharp young attorney. Sophia Chen. Queer and fierce. Auditing with surgical precision. Reparations flowed. Scholarship expansion to include Lading's voices. Land grants for Maria's distant kin. Publicly. Whittaker thrived. Wine Spectator cover on Legacy 2.0. Hope and Isabella posing amid barrels. Elena's byline crediting the exposed pivot to advocacy. Privately. Fractures lingered. Elena's restlessness surfaced in midnight scrolls. Eyes distant over headlines. You're drifting, Hope confronted one night. Sheets tangled post-love. Elena's head on her chest. Old habits, Elena admitted. The story's done. But the itch. Scratch it elsewhere. Freelance features. Not scandals. Elena's kiss was concession. For you. Thanksgiving anchored them. Table laden with turkey brined in estate Pinot. Cornbread from Elena's abuela's hand. Pumpkin pie spice fierce. Guests. Marcus and his wife. Sophia. Queer collective friends. A tapestry of chosen kin. Isabella carved. Knife steady. Toasts rang to roots reclaimed. To futures uncorked. Post-feast. Hope pulled Elena to the garden maze. Hedges skeletal but sentinel. Remember our engagement here? Fog so thick. I proposed by feel. Elena laughed. Pulling her close. Blind faith. Their kiss deepened. Hands wandering under wool coats. Urgency building against ivy walls. Back inside. They slipped away. Love-making in the potting shed, earth-scented. Fervent. Elena's moans muffled in Hope's hair. December brought snow-dusted hills. Rare for valley. Magic in white veils. Holiday market in St. Helena. Stalls of mulled wine. Wreaths woven with estate hops. Hope manned the booth. Elena snapping candids. Isabella haggling for artisanal cheeses. A face in the crowd Jared. Victor's nephew. A slick importer named Diego. Eyes lingering too long. Heard uncles retired south. Sends regards. Warning laced sweet. Hope texted Sophia. Background check. Stat. Results. Diego angling for board seat. Whispers of buyout plots. Paranoia redux. You'll log burn. But tension crackled. Elena. Sensing it. Planned escape. Cabin in Tahoe. Just them. Snowbound drive, chains rattling. Radio crooning holiday jazz. Cabin nestled lakeside. Pine beams and stone hearth. First night. Firelit dinner. Then slow undress. Bodies gilded in flame. Elena's touch reverent, lips on scars from a childhood riding accident. Fingers coaxing sighs. You're my home, she breathed. Hope shuddering release. Days blurred. Snowshoe treks. Sledding till breathless. Nights in steam of the sauna. Sweat-slick skin sliding. One evening. Bundled on the porch. Elena confessed. I turned down a gig. Deep dive on agribusiness corruption. Too close to home. Hope's heart swelled. Proud. Return heralded New Year. Isabella's announcement. Tenure at UC Davis moving south permanent. Families pulling me. Joy tempered by undercurrent. Diego's overtures escalated. Lunch invites laced with opportunities. Board meeting January. Expansion Phase 2. Sustainable tech. Diego as guest. Charm offensive. Post-meet. He cornered Hope. Victor's regrets? Water under. Let's collaborate. Declined politely. But unease nod. Elena. Freelance blooming. Pieces on queer winemakers. Climate resilience thrived. but late edits strained. One night, Hope found her asleep at desk. Screen glowing, draft on hidden harvests, Napa's shadow economies. "You're circling back," Hope said softly, covering her. Eyes opening. Elena sighed. "Can't help it. But I'll shelve." February rains lashed. Vines drinking deep. Hope's novel resurfaced. Manuscript dusted off. Chapters flowing on Legacy's fictions. Elena read drafts. Feedback tender. Your voice raw poetry. Inspiration peaked. Weekend in SF. Alamo Square picnic. Then bookshop crawl. A city lights. Elena bought Ferlinghetti. Inscribing to my muse. Uncorked. Passion reignited. Hotel suite overlooking bay. Mirrors reflecting their tangle. Hope astride. Elena's hands guiding hips. Cries echoing urban night. Spring teased early. Buds swelling. Isabella's move. Boxes unpacked amid laughter. Her touchstones Maria's rosary. Lydia's locket, placed reverent. But March storm. Diego's leak. Anonymous blog post. Twisting reparations as slush fund favoritism. Shares dipped. Investors jittery. Hope's rage boiled. Confront at his office. Elena back up. "You're doing." Diego smirked. "Business. Whitaker. Legacies for winners." Evidence mounted. Sophia's digs unearthed bribes. Lawsuit filed. Injunction swift. Victory Pyrrhic. Exhaustion set in. Hope collapsed mid-vineyard walk. Anemia from stress. Elena rushing her to R. Hospital vigil. Elena's hand vice grip. Isabella pacing. Slow down. Hermana. Recovery bedrest mandated. Elena hovering, soup simmered. Stories read aloud. Intimacy shifted gentle. Massages easing knots. Whispers weaving dreams. April bloomed defiant. Grape screening. Hope's novel queried. Agent bites. Elena's feature series nominated. Glad nod. Diego settled out of court. Ousted. He's fragile. Megala redux. Roots revealed theme. Isabella emceeing. Hope speech. Truth isn't thief, it's tiller. Crowd roared. After party intimate. Dance floor cleared for Hope and Elena. Slow sway to Billie Holiday. Home late. Undressing in moonlight. Elena knelt. Marry me again? Renew. Raw. Tears pricked. Yes. Summer heat built. Vines thriving. But August whisper. Elena's email ping. Offer from the Atlantic. Investigative lead on. Napa. She declined. But seed planted. Harvest approached. Circle closing. The second harvest unfurled under relentless August sun. Air shimmering with heat mirages. Grapes swelling to translucence. Hope orchestrated from the cab of a harvester. Dust caked and exhilarated. Elena trailing in a jeep with cooler of iced palettes. Mango for Hope. Tamarind for herself. Isabella. Now embedded. Led a crew of students. Her lectures on soil sovereignty blending with Clipper's snick. Yields promise bounty. But Hope's energy waned post-illness. Shadows under eyes like bruised fruit. Elena noticed. Packing lunches with iron-rich greens. Stealing moments in the shade house for kisses that lingered. Hands cupping faces. You're blooming, she'd say. Thumb brushing Hope's lip. Renewal vows planned. Intimate. Big Sir Cliff's. Just kin, Isabella officiating. Marcus witnessing. Dress fittings in caramel, Hope in ivory lace. Elena in midnight velvet. Mirrors reflecting futures. But September's eve brought fracture. Elena's phone buzz during barrel tasting. Atlantic again. Persistent editor. Napa's underbelly embezzlement echoes. Your angle. She silenced it. But Hope saw. Dinner tense. Paella cooling untouched. Take it, Hope urged. Fork scraping plate. If it's not us. Elena's eyes searched. It's ghosts. Victor's network. Harlan's ilk. Stirs old dirt. Then bury deeper. But doubt seeded. Vows day. Coastal fog veiling the ceremony site. Waves crashing him. Isabella's words. Love isn't unsoiled earth. It's the work of weeding. Watering. Rings exchanged, vines entwined in platinum. Sealed with salt-kissed lips. Honeymoon micro. Cabin crawl up Highway 1. Stops at Jade Coves. Oyster shucks in Morro Bay. Nights feral, Elena's mouth hot on thighs. Hope's cries swallowed by surf. Days languid. Sketchpads for Hope's novel revisions. Elena's notebook filling with poem fragments. Return to harvest crush. Chaos joyous. Feet stomping in cues. Laughter echoing stone. Isabella announced pregnancy. Partner in Portland. Sperm donor selected. Aunt Hope. Joy exploded. Hug sticky with must. October's press tour. East Coast swing. NYC tastings in lofts. DC dinners with policymakers. Elena's presence amplified. Her features bundled as companion volume. Vineyard voices. Media darling duo. But hotel nights strained. Elena fielding calls. Hope sensing drift. Back west. Novel acceptance, small press. Fall pub. Launch party mission district. Queer lit crowd toasting with Whitaker bubbles. Readings intertwined. Hope's prose on maternal myths. Elena's journalism on resilient roots. November chill nipped. Vines dormant. Elena's Atlantic pitch resurrected. Editor's nudge. Lead on Lang remnants. Exclusive. Confrontation over cocoa by fire. Why hide? Protecting you. Us. Trust me to weather. Hope's hand on knee. Go. But come back whole. Elena left for Baja embeds. 2 weeks. Hope filled void with writing sprints. Isabella's company. Ultrasounds shared. Baby names bandied. Sophia for strength. Lydia redeemed. Elena's dispatches. Texts of dusty markets. Interviews with ex-associates. One night. Call crackled. Victor's clean reformed. Vineyard co-op down here. But threats to Napa bribes linger. Diego's puppet. Unease. Hope dreamed of thorns. Waking sweat slick. Return. Airport embrace fierce. Elena's suitcase heavy with notebooks. Stories gold but redacted to shield. Relief. But probe. For the issue. Or you. Both. Honesty stung sweet. December holidays. Portland for Isabella's shower. Tree trimming with her partner. Theo gentle brewer. Easy laugh. Gifts wrapped in vine leaves. Toasts to legacies layered. New Year's Eve. SF rooftop. City fireworks blooming. Elena pulling Hope to ledge. This year deeper roots. Kiss amid booms. Promise palpable. January blues. Novel proofs. Edits brutal. Elena's piece dropped nuanced. Naming no names. Focus on systemic sins. Backlash minimal. Acclaim high. But February frost. Anonymous tip to Hope, Elena's Ensenada photos. Victor embracing her. Caption. Old flames? Jealousy iced veins. Confront. Explain. Source hug. Nothing. Doubt whispers. Hope's voice small. Space. Elena to LA panel. Hope to cabin retreat. Solitude sharpened. Pages poured. Therapy sessions unpacked Lydia's grip. Codependence as love language. Reunion tentative. Airport coffee. Words careful. I overreacted. We both guard too fierce. Elena's hand extended. March rains nourished. Buds burst. Isabella's baby shower Napa style. Vineyard picnic. Gender neutral, it's a boy. Mateo. April. Novel launch sold out. Elena's dedication to H. My true terroir. May warmth coax blooms. Diego's trial loomed, fraud charges stuck. June solstice. Full moon tasting. Friends in whites. Elena's surprise. Violinists playing their wedding song. Dance under stars. Bodies close. Forever. Elena murmured. Through vintages. July heat peaked. Grapes clustering. Elena's restlessness quelled? No, quiet resignation letter. Freelance pivot to long-form features. Less edge. August whispers. Isabella's water break early. Rush to hospital. Mateo arrives 6 pounds. Perfect, tiny fists waving like vines. Aunt Judy's. Lullabies in Spanish. Bottles warmed. Hope held him. Heart cracking open. Life's rewrite. Elena's gaze soft. Our chapter next? Harvest loomed. Circle eternal. But September shadow. Elena's doc visit routine. But results early endometriosis. Fertility flags. Devastation quiet. Kids. Hope asked bedbound. Maybe. Or not. Us enough. Always. Embrace healed. Plans fluid adoption echoes. Or child-free adventures. October gale. Novel reviews glow. Tour extended. Elena joins. Support unwavering. November gratitude. Family expanded. Mateo crawling amid leaves. December lights. Tree strung with heirlooms, Lydia's ornaments. Maria's beads. New Year's resolve, growth. Unpruned. Yet January tests. Elena's pain flares. Surgery scheduled. Hope's vigil. Hospital coffee bitter. But love sweet. Recovery slow. But Elena's humor anchors. Scars my battle stripe. February mends. Walks gentle. Hands linked. March miracle. Pregnancy test positive. Elena's. Post-op surprise. Joy tentative. Monitored. Isabella's. Double ants. April ultrasounds. Heartbeat flutter. May nest. Nursery painted sage. Crib carved vines. June solstice. Bump blooming. Elena radiant. July heat. Cravings for ceviche. Midnight kicks. August swell baby shower. Rivers of advice. September harvest. Elena sidelined. Cheering from porch. October birth girl. 7 pounds, Clara Ruiz Whitaker. As like Merlot. Holding her. Hope wept. Our truth. Elena's kiss. Legacy lived. Clara's first cry pierced the delivery room like a cork's pop. Raw and revelatory. Elena's face slick with effort and ecstasy as the midwife placed the swaddled bundle on her chest. Hope hovered. Fingers trembling as they brushed the downy cap of dark hair. the tiny fist curling around her thumb, a grip fierce as any vine's tendril. "She's here," Hope whispered, voice fracturing. The world narrowing to this, skin warm as sun-ripened earth, breath sinking in triune rhythm. The days post-birth blurred into a haze of feedings and folds, the manor transformed into a cocoon of soft linens and lavender diffusers. Isabella bunked nearby, her hands experienced with Mateo, tag-teaming diaper changes and burp cloths. "As united," she'd quip, rocking Clara while Hope napped in stolen snatches. Elena healed steady, stitches pulling but spirit soaring, her journal filling with odes to this small revolution. Napa autumn gilded the chaos, leaves carpeting paths, pumpkins swelling in the patch for Clara's eventual jack-o'-lanterns. Hope balanced board duties with baby wearing, conference calls muffled by coos. Elena's byline shifted to parenting essays, the ferment of family, weaving queer kinship with viticultural metaphors, drawing fan mail from readers hungry for such truths. Thanksgiving swelled the table, Clara in high chair, pureed squash smeared like abstract art, Mateo toddling underfoot. Toast to abundance. But Elena's eyes held shadow, pain lingering, hormones a tidal pull. "Worth every ache," she'd affirm, nursing in the rocker by firelight. December's chill brought first snow. Clara bundled for sleigh rides in the orchard, giggles bubbling like ferment. Holiday cards featured family quartet, Hope and Elena cradling babes, Isabella and Theo beaming beside. Legacy reimagined, not acres alone, but heartbeats. New Year's quiet, just them, Clara asleep, champagne fizzing soft. Resolutions? Elena asked, feet tangled under throw. "More of this," Hope said, hand on swell of belly, though Elena's form slimmed now. Memory lingered. January thawed with Clara's rolls, floor time amid blocks carved like grapes. Elena's surgery follow-up clear, fertility whispers of more. But pause agreed. One vintage at a time. February's rains fed the earth, vines stirring. Hope's novel sequel outlined, Clara's arrival as pivot, maternal myths deconstructed. Elena read drafts, edits laced with love, her cry your hook, March Madness, Clara's first tooth, teething wails through nights. Isabella's sabbatical ends, but visits weekly. Mateo her shadow. Anti-pipeline strong. April blooms. Easter egg hunt. Clara clutching plastic orbs. Wonder wide-eyed. Elena's feature on Regenerative AG wins award. Glad again. Speech dedicating to the growers of tomorrow. May warmth coaxes first steps. Clara's wobbles from Hope's knees to Elena's arms. Cheers echoing hall. Our walker, Elena laughs. Tears salting joy. June solstice. Beach day Santa Cruz. Sandcastles and waves. Clara splashing fearless. Picnic of estate charcuterie. Elena's guitar strumming lullabies. July heat pool days. Floats bobbing. Clara's floatsy a tiny life preserver. Elena's restlessness stirs, itch for deeper dives. But channeled podcast launch. Uncorked truths. Interviewing queer trailblazers. August swell grapes again. Clara and Carrier. Babbling at clusters. Harvest light family affair. Little hands helping with leaves. September equinox. Clara's first birthday. Smash cake under tent. Frosting carnage. Gifts. Vineyard plot in her name. Locket with Lydia and Maria's photos. October gales. Novel 2 submitted. Agent buzzing. Elena's podcasts include Isabella, Episode on adopted legacies. Download soaring. November gratitude. Expanded circle. Theo's proposal to Isabella rings simple. Gold like sun on vines. December lights. Clara's tree decor. Baubles batted gleeful. Cards multiply. Network of kin. New Year's. Clara's first word, Mama, split between them. Hearts bursting. But January tests. Elena's cycle irregular. Doc flags recurrence risk. Decisions loom: freeze embryos, surrogacy, or embrace the two. Clara's our plot twist, Elena decides. Enough. February frost. Clara's cold. Sniffles sinking with rains. Hope's tour kicks. East Coast readings. Elena and babe tagging select stops. March thaw book 2 buzz. Pre-orders strong. Podcast sponsors. Ethical Wines. Full Circle. April renewal. Anniversary 6 years wed. Vow refresh and garden. Clara flower girl toddling. May migration. Family road trip Yosemite. Clara awed by falls. Elena sketching peaks. June solstice. Solstice circle. Drums and dances. Clara swaying in arms. July inferno heatwave. But estate misters cool the vines and playpen. August anticipation. Isabella's wedding Napa. Clara ring bearer and tool. September harvest bumper crop. Clara tasting juice. Diluted. October tempest. Novel launch 2. Packed house. Clara signing books with scribbles. November nest. Theo and Isabella's honeymoon defer. Nesting with babes. December dream. Clara's first snow angel. Clumsy wings. Cycle eternal. But January jolt. Elena's pain sharp. Scan reveals cyst. Surgery minor but fear major. Hope's anchor. Hospital waits with Clara's drawings. Post-op soup simmered slow. February mends. Clara's hugs heal. Toddler therapy and touch. March magic. Cyst benign. All clear. Elena's pod episode. Scars as soil. April awakening. Clara's sentences form. Love you. Fine. May milestone preschool peak. Tears at drop-off. June journey. Italy trip vineyard roots. Clara tasting gelato. Elena toasting ancestors. July jubilee estate festival. Clara on shoulders. Crowds cheering. August arc. Grapes golden. Family photo op amid rows. September symphony. Clara's songs. Off-key but soulful. October ode. Awards night Hope's lit nod. Elena's media. November narrative. Storytelling nights. Lydia's tales retold true. December dawn. Clara's questions. Who grandma? Answers gentle. Full. New Year's vow thrive. Together. Yet whispers. Elena's gaze distant. Podcast evolving to global inequities. Hope senses. Another chapter? Perhaps. But ours first. Legacy pulses lived. Love. Unending. Years folded like accordion bellows. Expanding and contracting the Whitaker tapestry. Each pleat rich with texture. Clara at 5. Wild curls inherited from Elena. Hazel mischief from Hope. Scampering vineyard paths with a basket of magic grapes. Convinced they granted wishes. Isabella's Mateo. Now 7. Her constant shadow. Building forts from trellises. The cousins' alliance a force of nature. The manor thrummed with their energy. Once hallowed halls now echoing with crayon wars and fort-building sieges. Hope's novels formed a trilogy by decade's end: Terroir of Secrets, Harvest of Hearts, Vines of Verity, bestsellers blending memoir and myth. Oprah's book club seal propelling tours to London and Lisbon. Elena's pivot bloomed. Uncorked Truths evolved into a docuseries, streaming on PBS. Episodes unpacking AG justice from Napa to Tuscany. Her voice a velvet scalpel cutting complacency. Nominations piled: Emmys, Peabody's, but she declined red carpets. Preferring family frames. Clara and Pigtails. Elena's arm around Hope's waist. Challenges came in waves, not tempests. Elena's health stabilized. Annual scans ritual. Like vintage tastings, but fertility's door stayed ajar. Whispers of adoption revisited. They fostered briefly. A teen from Oakland, Javier, bridging worlds with his sketches of urban vines. He stayed 2 years, launching to art school with scholarships seeded from the estate. Isabella and Theo's union deepened. Second child, a girl named Lucia, born under a harvest moon. The sisters' bond, forged in fracture, became legend. Joint TED Talk on blood and soil, reclaiming kin, viral for its raw grace. Victor's shadow faded. Letters from Baja arrived sporadic. Postscripts to Clara. Your abuelo plants olives now. Wishes he could teach you the twist. Forgiveness unspoken, but seeds sown. Corporate vultures circled thrice. Buyout bids from conglomerates eyeing organic labels, but Hope's stewardship held. Expansions into urban farms in Oakland. Community co-ops employing formerly incarcerated. The board. Diverse now, queer women of color leading committees. Voted unanimous. Whitaker endures. Clara's questions grew pointed. School projects on My Two Moms. Essays probing Lydia's mistakes. Hope answered layered. No sugar. She chose wrong paths for right dreams. We choose differently. Elena's influence. Bedtime stories from the Diary of Frida Kahlo. Discussions on consent over cookie dough. Love's a choice. Mija, not a cage. Tensions simmer domestic. Hope's tours pulling her east. Elena's shoots to Chiapas. Arguments flared. You're vanishing again. And you're clipping my wings. But makeup swift. Bodies remembering the map. Elena's laughter muffled in pillows. Hope sighs a symphony. Milestones marked. Clara's first crush. A classmate with braids and boldness. Coming out at 12. Casual as girls mostly. Pride floats in SF. Rainbow vines trailing. Isabella's milestone. Deanship at Davis. Chairing enology with equity lens. Mateo followed viticulture. Lucia literature, echoes amplified. Hope at 45. Lines etching laugh and worry. Auburn threaded silver. Elena. Same age. Curls defiant black. I still Merlot deep. Renewals annual. Cliffside ceremonies. Vows evolving. Through storms and stills. Legacy's truth rippled outward. Scholarships bloomed hundreds strong. Reparations fund aiding thousands. A wing at the Manor Maria Ruiz Library. Shelves groaning with Latine authors. Youth programs in the cellar-turned-studio. Clara at 18 Stanford bound. Major undecided but minor in queer studies. Graduation speech. My mother's taught me legacy isn't land. It's the hands that tend it. Tears flowed. Hugs endless. Post-send-off. Empty nest echoed. Hope and Elena retreated to the cabin. Tahoe's shores lapping quiet. Nights rediscovered. Slow dances sans audience. Elena's fingers tracing constellations on skin. Our vintage, Hope murmured. Elena's response a gasp. Bodies timeless. Travel beckoned. Sabbatical year Morocco's Argan Groves. Argentina's Malbec Heartlands. Journals filled. Podcasts recorded remote. Return. Clara's wedding at 25. To a barista poet named Riley. Ceremony vineyard vowed. Clara's gown lace from Hope's first. Vows. You showed me roots can roam. Grandchildren sprinkled. Clara's twins. Boisterous. Isabella's third. Contemplative. Manor mayhem renewed. Clara's kids chasing geese. Elena's storytelling in Spanish. Hope's final novel. Eternal Yield. Capstone weaving all threads. Elena's series finale. Global Grapes. Cap to Corruption's Chronicle. 60. Reflection. Deck chairs overlooking valley. Clara's babes napping nearby. Worth the dig? Elena asked. Hand in Hope's. Every layer. Sunset bled gold. Vines whispering assent. Legacy not protected. But past truth exposed. Love enduring.